I literally was nobody. I was no one.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Randy, like, what can I do for you? And Randy he's the reason that this place exists is because he's like, well, you can make this. I need XLR cables for my road rig. Making cables for Randy took me about 2 weeks, I think. And my fingers were so, like, I felt like I had calluses on all of my fingers from like wire trimming cables and putting I burned myself like 100 times.
Oh yeah.
I had like scars. And
Did you have temperature control on the solder iron?
I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah, probably
it was
not.
Plug in and on or off. You know?
Anyway,
dude,
that's everything. But yeah, carry on.
Anyway, but they all worked. I tested. It made like 100 cables or something like that, and tested them all. They were all great. All of them looked great, except for one. And that's the one that Randy picked up and tested. It was out of phase. I flipped like pins 1 and 2 or something. Or 1 and 3.
Did he tell you, did you redo all of them?
No. I said I tested all of them. That's the one. I made it sound like I planned it.
Like, I gave this one to you first.
And then he said, great, we can always use this one on snare bottom. And I said, I planned that.
So that the phase is flipped automatically?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you don't need that little circle with a line through it.
Circle with a line through it. It's just naturally built in.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Anyway, so that was, he like after doing that, he gave me a key to his studio and he said, anytime I'm not working, you're welcome to come in and work on whatever you have. I said, that's amazing. Thanks. Didn't have any projects. Didn't have anything for a couple weeks. And then because I was willing, stuff started just dropping into my lap with no explanation. No, like just
Dude, isn't
a friend.
That crazy?
A friend was doing a record out of nowhere, and I was available. And of course, I didn't get paid, but it was okay. It's like I'm learning. I need to cut my teeth.
Yeah.
So that was in like 2011, and all that to say, I kept on drumming. After that, like starting working for Randy, I started like really pursuing careers in sound.
What?
Like,
I just had something kind of going there.
I started pursuing careers in sound and doing things that were like fun, and like I worked for a company locally called Onstage, and I'm sorry, Onstage, that I was such a horrible employee.
We're sorry, Onstage.
Like,
John? Was he there already?
I don't remember. There was a bunch of people.
John, we're sorry for Brandon's conduct.
Yeah. No, I didn't do anything bad. I was just like, I didn't know what to do, you know?
He didn't know what to do, John.
Like, I knew how to solder stuff, and I knew about like wiring, and like I had like a super basic knowledge of electrical things. And so like they had like, I don't know, 300 boxes of VDOSC.
Oh, dude.
And so they would come back from these George Strait tours and from these like they did this Bass Nectar tour.
Yeah, we talked about this on that one episode.
Yeah, and like all the cones were destroyed. Like,
and
so
you were just in there like monkeying around.
Yeah, like pulling them off and like putting new cones and drivers and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. But
you started getting really exposed to live sound. Well, I mean CF&I, but it was like a different level of diving into now like the technical side of live sound.
What's actually possible doing it. So
yeah,
because of course everyone who has gone to CF&I, they know that CF&I is the largest, smallest pond in the world.
Yeah.
The biggest small pond in the world.
Yes.
Or the smallest big pond. That's not a big
whatever.
pond.
I get that. Yeah.
So you think it's like your whole world, then you're exposed to all these larger things. So anyway, moving on quickly. I went to a church called Calvary, which is here in Irving. And I met my wife there. We were friends for like 2 years, which was really fun. And I worked there. I went there originally as a drummer because they wanted to hire me because I played on a CF&I album. And I was like,
"What's your claim to fame?"
I was like, "You've never heard this record?" Like, apparently, at least 15 people have heard that album. Anyway.
I heard it. Because I played drums for
That's Well, that's kind. Anyway,
we played that song at my church.
Any of those songs. But I went there as a drummer, and I come in on a Thursday night rehearsal to just shadow their drummer and just watch how they do stuff. And their sound guy didn't show up, and so I jump on an SC48 that they have, and I just like make stuff happen.
You said SC Digidesign SC48.
Yeah, they had just been purchased by Avid.
So an Avid SC48, yes.
It was still a Digidesign because they'd bought it when it was still Digidesign, but they like just recently at that point. So anyway,
and you found your way around. And you did okay?
I was just like, can you go make it work? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Jump up there, and I did, and they had me mixing that Sunday on.
Really?
Yeah.
Calvary did.
Yep. That was
because they were like, oh.
Yeah. And which is funny.
What was it that you had? Sorry to cut you off. What was it that you had? Like at that point, at that juncture. Yeah, you just knew what the music should sound like from like a level standpoint.
I just want to hear everything. Like I'm mixing for me, right? At that point, I'm like, because I want to hear the organ and also the piano, and there's two guitars, both in mono at that point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I want to hear.
What's the PA mono?
The PA was not mono. It was actually an L Acoustics DV DOSC.
Oh, that's great.
It was a good PA.
Wow,
it was
those
very
are
old.
Great.
It was very old at that point. I don't know.
They were already old?
Mm-hmm. They were there for like 8 years at that point.
Oof. Yeah. Anyway. Those are the dual 8s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good box. But
I saw some of those recently in New York.
Yeah. they I just put it together in a musical way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were really happy. And the worship or the assistant worship leader, his name is Rick, or was Rick. He actually recently passed away, which is very sad. Mm. But he was just like, you want to come mix on weekends? And so I was like, yeah. It might have been a week after that. I thought in my mind, for some reason, it's like that next Sunday. It probably wasn't. It's probably a week. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so that's what I did. I was hired on as like a part-time
audio
guy doing all the mixing for their events and stuff.
Mm.
And it was fun. I did that for a couple of years, and then worked at a couple other churches, and just decided to. I got married, and then decided to go like corporate stuff, because that's where you could make actual money doing sound.
I see.
And I did that for 5 or 6 years, 5 years, and from like 2015 to 2020, and did a lot of good stuff during that time. And like I was doing corporate stuff less and less after like 2016. So I did corporate stuff for about 2 years, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like started out as a utility tech, sort of just setting up projector screens and whatever else. Worked my way into the audio side, and then worked like 4 to 5 days a week for the better part of 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like just all the time. And then I told the Lord, like, I want to do more worship stuff. And then I got a call from an old friend, and he was like, hey, I'm doing this thing with Leland in Fort Worth tomorrow or in 2 days. You want to come do monitors? And I said, yeah, I'll come do monitors. And like all those guys were there. Payton was drumming, and I don't remember the other guys, but Leland and everyone was there. Jason Upton was also there. It was a really special night. And like, I want to say that was 2017. Maybe it's 2018. I think it was 2018.
Okay.
Anyway, and then we ended up doing that friend and myself, we ended up doing Leland's album. The one at Christ for the Nations with Waymaker on it, and Kylie produced it, and I did front of house for
his real album.
Yeah, that was like
That's completely nothing like the rest of his other music.
There was. Well, that's a whole story. Like, I don't know how much we can talk about this, but the song Waymaker, and there's a lot of just legal drama around like songwriting stuff, and but that was all going on. And
what's really funny about that? I hope this doesn't derail your point, but my church, like, was singing that song like years before.
It's like an older song. It's not a recently written song.
Yeah, but like I didn't hear it anywhere. I just heard it like the choir at my church saying it. And then when he recorded that, I was like, It was very different than also how they played it. It was a lot more like gospel-ish.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, there was
like
I don't remember
Tribbett vibe.
I don't know all of the details around the history of the song. I just know that like there was drama, and there was
nothing like some worship song drama.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So anyway, but we did that, and that was like such a special night. I did front of house. It was like the first thing I really did front of house for that was like
of consequence,
like of real consequence. Because I had traveled with Todd White a couple times and done Power and Love conferences and mixed for Rita Springer, and like we had done. Like, I'd done some stuff.
When was the Mute Math tour in the Mexico?
That was in, like, 2014. That was several years before that. Yeah.
That was just random.
That was a one-off. Yeah. It was really fun, though. Yeah, my friend Jason is a friend of Roy, who's the bass player of Mute Math. They had gone way back and played on Marco Barrientos records together. And so Roy asked Jason to come do sound for their India tour, and Jason asked me to do monitors. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll go, and it was really fun. It was like amazing. I couldn't believe I was doing it,
Yeah.
And
it's Mute Math.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And everyone's so kind. Paul and Darren and Todd, their guitar player, and Roy. And it's just like those guys are so good. Like them jamming, like sound check was them jamming. They didn't play any songs. They just like jammed.
Dude.
Literally, it was so amazing because like they would just like jam, and then like the show would start.
And they had
all their
the
Logic
playback.
But they had like probably 12 stereo lines of tracks, right?
Oh yeah.
You think perks, loops, or like 808 stuff, kick
all
stuff,
that.
loops, synths, bass things, whatever, like effects. Imagine 12 of those. And then imagine the next song. You still have 12, but they're all completely different.
They're all
tracks.
different, dude.
Like,
and you were mixing all those on the iLive?
The perks was now on the vocal effects.
No,
it was like a mess.
They weren't even organized?
They were not organized
of course,
at all.
dude.
Bro,
everything literally, even on stage, and their stuff is a complete mess.
But it was so amazing.
Like it's intentionally a mess.
I just built it. I was like, okay, guys, I'm doing monitors. You know what you want to hear. I'll just leave it all and whatever. It's fine, And it was very easy to do monitors for. It's like, they're just them,
Yeah, it's them, yeah.
But anyway, that was in 2014. I kind of skipped over that because, I forgot.
Yeah, well, you told me that the first day we met. That's why. About the Mute Math tour, yeah.
Yeah, and we, anyway, and then after that, what am I saying? After that, I wanted to do music stuff, right? So I met the Leland guys and did their record, and which is great. And then we did another record for a guy named Phil King at CFNI that same year in 2018, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, just started getting into that like world, like where you're like always making music, doing live recordings, and have done a bunch. I mean, tons since then.
Yeah.
And it's been such a pleasure and an honor to do all that stuff because, like, I don't know, it's a unique thing to print something, to write something down. It's like a memorial, like in the Bible when they made a memorial of a season. That's how I feel albums are, because you have,
it's forever.
Yeah, it's forever. It's also like it's a moment in time that's marked by emotions, by experiences, by all those things that we identify our lives by, and that's special. There's a special thing,
Yeah.
for the people involved, but also for the people who listen to those albums.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
So
albums bring you back. Like you listen to albums.
Yeah.
Like the song they played at the end of the recording tonight.
Oh yeah.
Like it just made me think of like 2008 Hillsong United. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like that style still works. It still reaches people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but it brought me back hearing that. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about that time of my life and what I was doing and what I was listening to, and it's powerful. Music is like a portal.
It's funny you say that, because tonight I did front of house, and I'm kind of like working on a record for a church called the Watermark, and they have a young adult ministry called The Porch, which is like super well known in the DFW area. And then like 2 days ago, it wasn't 2 days ago, it was Sunday, which was 2 days ago, I guess. Wow. Did another recording all day.
Recording machine.
Yeah, it's just so crazy, bro. It's crazy. And the last 36 hours or 48 hours, really.
Yeah.
Done 2 live records.
You know, and to think
fun.
To think that you did the first one for free, and like
the first several, yeah.
Yeah, and like thinking back to your beginning part of your journey of like when you're just so excited at the idea of like real work, and then all of a sudden you're drowning in it.
Well, I mean, yeah, bro. Yeah.
Like that concept just hit me like a bomb. Because that doesn't even feel like it was that long ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we have like, I remember the first time I went on the road with Upper Room, and it was like August or something of 2018. And it was super fun, kind of a interesting, small event, but then like I started doing bigger stuff, and we went to Jesus 18, which was like Michael Koulianos' conference. And I didn't know, like at the time, I'd always kind of like, when I get there, I'll kind of like build my own show file or whatever. I'll just kind of like
make it happen,
no plan.
Very good.
Yeah. But they were, they're like, you don't have time to build your own show file. You have like an hour sound check, and then you have, like you're playing. So, I went off of Ryan Huntington, who's an amazing engineer.
Who's that?
He's he worked at Bethel for a while, and I think he's in Fort Collins now.
One of those guys?
Colorado. Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah. There's great guy, just super kind, generous person. But anyway, he's like, yeah, you can use my file, whatever. Just save a new one. Don't save over my show.
Yeah, that's all he said. Don't save over it.
And that's where I met Jimmy, actually. Jimmy Nichols, who's an amazing guy, close friend. And Jimmy was doing monitors, and Ryan was doing front of house. And I think Jeremy Riddle and Stephanie were leading worship, and they were mixing for Jeremy and Steph, and it was amazing. And then we were playing as well. That was like the first time, like, I should bring my own. I should like have a file. So around the same time, I started working with Todd White, like before that, and Todd White just bought their building, or they were buying their building for Lifestyle Christianity over in Watauga. And they had like a couple SD12s and waves and everything. And so a few weeks after that, it was like January of 2019, I sat down at that console or whatever, it was around then, and built my own file. And spent time and like doing the things that I'd learned in the last few years, and just try to like can I make it work by myself and whatever. And
yeah,
because there's always that doubt. If you're like,
yes,
this is good. If you're working on someone else's thing, like you can learn how they work, right? But like there's always going to be that doubt. Can you do it by yourself?
Yeah.
And I had the same sort of experience at mixing in the studio. Like, can I make it by myself? And obviously, like when you do it and it works, it's like, wow, it's validation of all the things you've learned over years, all those amazing skills that you've acquired. And it's just, so that's what I did. I built my own file, and then I downloaded like on my MacBook, because on Digico you cannot, you need to have a Mac to run the offline software, or you need to have a PC.
Yeah.
So I downloaded Parallels.
Yes.
So you can run Windows on your Mac.
Yeah. To run their offline editor.
Yep, to run the offline. And so I like converted it to like every other format. It's just to have a version.
So you had it on your laptop.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the start of it. It was great. And then we played at Red Rocks. Being from Denver in September of, I think, 2019, we played at Red Rocks. It was so much fun. At SD5. That was great. Corey Edwards saved the day because he's a Digico whiz.
He helped you?
Oh, well, he helped everyone. He was like setting up the consoles, and there was some like miscommunication with like the show provider, and they were only supposed to provide one rack per console and an analog split, and they were provided one rack, period.
Total.
And so we were supposed to share, and so everyone's loading files, but like none of the files are loading right.
Yeah.
And Aaron Bowman was doing monitors for us. Aaron's an amazing engineer as well.
Yeah.
He was doing monitors, and I load the file, and we're about to walk on stage, and like all the gains are like maxed, like slammed to plus 60. I'm like, what is happening? Like I can hear Joel speaking 68 feet away from the mic.
Exactly, like, from the
mic. like something's wrong, and like it's like gaining all the stuff down, trying to get it to work, and it was terrifying. But then like it turned it up, they had a production console, and they turn our feed up, and it worked, and everything it felt great. And that's just one of the highlights of my life is like that weekend, because I was so happy to mix Red Rocks. I didn't get paid for that one. There wasn't a budget. I flew myself first class from Dallas to Denver to mix Red Rocks, because I was so happy that I was able.
You deserved first class for Red Rocks, dude.
I don't know that I deserved it. I was just happy. I was happy. I had accumulated some miles. So I didn't,
dude.
I'm going.
Game time, no justification.
Yeah, it was fun.
I get it.
It was fun. I know you get it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and just a great set. And we had like all of our guys and amps along the rocks, and there was a D&B GSL PA, the first one in the country.
What?
It was the first GSL in the country. With it, like, apparently, I found out later, like, the week after that event, it went to Las Vegas and got shot up by that horrible shooting that was there.
Jason Aldean?
Yeah, I don't know what.
That was Jason Aldean?
Yeah, it was that PA that went over there.
Oh, my gosh.
It was like a week or two after that, I think.
In Las Vegas, yes.
There were a bunch of people who were killed. Horrible.
Whoa.
But the PA was amazing. And at Red Rocks, it's like a fully cardioid PA. So we're behind the PA having a conversation at this volume, and you walk out and it's like 100. Yeah, it's like 105 dB, like so loud you can't tell. It was amazing.
That is sick. Anyway, wow. Yeah. So pretty much like the shift, and I think for most people there's like a gradual nature to like our coming into ourselves, but like I guess just one question, like what you're doing now and what you see in your life, like you're mixing records, you're doing live sound, you're influencing what Upper Room's doing. You're one of the key pioneers in you're really the head chef in what Audiolink is providing.
The head chef.
The head chef. There's no better way to say it.
It's funny because you're a better chef than me, but that's fine.
No, but you're the head chef.
Tommy, I want more sear on my steak, please. Thank you.
Yes, more crust, please. And all of that. Is there a season of your life that you look back on that you would say, like, this was the time that really, like, prepared me for what I'm doing now? Is there any part that really stands out to you? And I ask because, like, looking back at my life, like, obviously it's an accumulation of everything, but there are these times, like, when I look back and I'm like, man, that was when I really, like, start to take ground, Does that anything stick out to you?
I think that the moment when I said in 2017, it was like November, I said, Lord, I want to do music. That's what I want to do. And I skipped over this part, but I think it was the next day or 2 days, I got a Facebook message from a guy named John Newsom, who is a guitar player. And he's an amazing guitar player, great dude, lives in Nashville. It's like country, very, country music.
Nashville guy.
And yeah, he's like, hey, I'm looking for a monitor guy for this guy named Casey Donahue. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It was like the next day. I told the Lord I want to do music. Like I want to do
next day you get that.
Yeah, and they needed a monitor guy for their December run on a tour bus, like through the Midwestern states. Like it's the whole thing. And I did that, it was for like 3.5 weeks long. Like living on a bus, like it was the whole tour life.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the end of it, and I think I did a decent job, setting up, and it was, me and Odell Rushing.
Same thing as church, dude.
Shout out to Odell Rushing. That dude's a legend. He's there. He was the tour manager, he was the production manager. He did front of house. He's an amazing guy. Anyway, but I got to the end of it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. It's hard. It's hard life. It's like
touring. It's hard,
it's like
dude. Oh my gosh.
You're on the bus. You sleep all night. You wake up at your next destination, and you immediately get out and load in. And then you might have a couple hours off, a few hours off. You do your sound check, have time off, and then you do your show. Then you're breaking down, whatever.
Repeat.
Like you load up, load the trailer, get back on the bus. It's 2 a.m., go to sleep, wake up at your next destination, repeat. Like, very hard life.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a fan. Like, I liked the guys, and it was fun for like a week, and then like, you're like, oh wow, this doesn't let up.
Yeah, because you're worn down.
Yeah. And then I said, I was more specific with the Lord. I was like, I want to do worship. I want to be in the worship world. And that's when all the Leland stuff happened. So, and that's kind of like, I think that the moment when I realized, like, if I want to have like any success or whatever it is, and be specific with what I want, like, I need to tell the Lord what I want. I need to decide what I want and what I want to do. And if that lines up with what, like, the calling on my life, which in my case it did, like, some people want to do something that's not at all related to what their calling is. And that creates conflict, I think, and people are unsatisfied a lot of times because it's like, they want to do something that they're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But I have, and I've, been very fortunate, and the Lord has blessed me so much with the ability to just do and just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Take things in stride. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's for sure. Obviously, like, the moment where you're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, was like, like, I'm doing a Leland record. I'm doing a record. It's great. And then, like, it comes out, and like, I'm on the credits. Like, and my mom, like, people are telling my mom, like, oh, Brandon's on this album. It's like, wow, that's amazing. And that's all a matter of months. That was in 2018, or no, that was 2019. That was a year later.
Yeah.
But like, the whole point
it
is, like, it's a
quick.
year, you know, and there's just a lot of, like, all of the other seasons that I've been through, whatever else, it's leading up. Nothing is wasted with God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing you said stood out to me, because, like, I've been trying to think of my relationship with God as a human relationship as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? Because that word relationship, the only context we have for it is human relationships, and I was thinking about the idea of, like, you told God what you wanted, and then that's what you got.
Yeah. But think of the contrast, though. Like, when I went to CFNI, I told the Lord I wanted to play on an album, and I thought I got rejected. I got something else for 3 years.
Yeah, you got the rest of your life. Yeah.
But then he loved me so much that he allowed me to fulfill a dream. Yeah. That was in some way related to what my calling is, yes, but like, it was because I know it was because he loves me.
Yeah.
And because it was a dream in my heart.
Yeah, and he cares about that.
100% no. Yep.
Yeah. And just recognizing, like, you can really want something, and, your spouse or your friend could kind of sense it on you and know. But there's just something different when you ask and you say it with your mouth. And there's a vulnerability to that, that is difficult in life, to, like, say what you want or ask. But, like, sometimes it's not until we do that we get anything.
You have not because you ask not.
Exactly.
And well, it's because asking, the act of asking, brings your motives into question. It's like,
dude,
am I asking you for $100 because I really need $100 to fill up my car and go to work or whatever else? Or am I just looking to buy a video game?
Dude, you know, like yes. And until you become vulnerable enough to actually get it out of your mouth and say it, it's like, oh, you know, and I think that's really powerful. You know, I've been thinking about that recently, about saying things, you know.
Yeah.
Actually saying things, not just thinking them, saying them. And it's like, all right, there's a different level of commitment once you start saying something, you know, and I think God responds to that. But this was great, bro. I know we're like most of the way there, but with your story, there's so much, you know, even since we've met, that I've seen to happen. I mean, but overall, like just seeing the impact that you've had on these different ministries and on Upper Room, and it is it's just so apparent that like God has like pocketed you right in this like specific lane, right? Like he's put you on this specific jet stream of sound and audio, and like fulfilling that role in his kingdom, and he's just like lining up the pins for you to knock down, recording after recording, record after record, and it's just amazing to see, bro.
I think that's certainly true. It's also like, it's humbling to be used by the Lord, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. It's not all been easy for sure, but it's like, it's nice to know that what you're doing isn't just, you know, when they say like your rewards in heaven, all that stuff, like few people get to know that from other people and their testimonies. Few people just do that, and then they'll find out when they meet the Lord. Like I see most people do that, and they'll just find out in eternity.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like and people who do what we do, it like there's an actual impact that's tangible now. That's rare and it's valuable.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's so funny tonight at this recording at Watermark. I was walking the stage and this guy was like, "Hey man, like front of house, it was fun, it was great. Like, how do you get that worship snare sound?" And I was like, "Bro, it's really hard to make them sound bad." Ish was playing drums, by the way. It was like, it's perfect.
Yeah, his snares.
It's the sound.
I could tell it sounded ridiculous.
And it's just funny. I was like, man, you know, you should try not to mess it up. just
exactly.
Add some top end, add some beef. You're fine. You know?
Exactly.
Like, you know,
oh my goodness, it sounded really good. You had it really loud, and it was good. It was actually how I like it.
You do like it loud. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, the snare it's almost impossible for it to be too loud.
Well, you know, it's too loud when it's like everything else disappears in the snare hits.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah. Anyway,
but this is great, dude. Well, yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us on this, and we are excited for everything that's to come. Yeah, thanks so much.
We're gonna go to bed because we're tired.
Oh my gosh, we're tired. Yes, we're going to bed. I'm about to fall asleep right here on this couch.
As a chair.
Yes, I'm saying that couch right there. Awesome. Thanks, guys.